If I were the marrying kind, which thank the Lord I'm not, sir, the kind of man that I would be a rugby fullback. I find touch, she find touch, we both find touch together. We'd be alright in the middle of the night, finding touch together. If I were the marrying kind, which thank the Lord I'm not, sir, the kind of man that I would be a wing three-quarter.
And this is Initiate the Contact. I am Stephen Murray, the coach, Dayle Runner, in the house as well. Here we are. It's Wednesday night. You're icing down the knees. You're trying to relax after a hard night of Tuesday practice. You're chilling out on your Wednesday, and you're listening to Initiate the Contact. So we appreciate that. Dayle, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. We had a great practice last night over Newport News. We had 26 able bodies out there, and we were getting it. And I was surprised how good the field was after that mud bath on Saturday against Rappahannock. Had a great match. My young guys, we battled to a 19-19 tie. It was really good. They were division up on us. Looking bright for the future. We have a week. We don't have nothing going on this Saturday. Getting ready for Virginia Men on March 11th up at Charlottesville, Virginia, guys. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and you know what? Down on the farm segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about your game. We'll tease the audience for that one. As Dayle, the best thing about rugby sometimes is maybe even having a podcast and a broadcast like we do.
Right.
The topic of rugby will always provide some sort of controversy and get a rise out of somebody. So we'll go ahead and poke around at some topics that may get, we're not going to say that the blood's boiling into here, folks. But yeah, I think that volcano has erupted already. And it has simmered down some, but there's a lot to discuss. And down on the farm segment. And when I say there's no shortage of controversy in rugby, that is absolutely the truth.
No doubt.
So Major League Rugby is our focus. Also, Chris Porter, head coach of the Capital Selects, the Norfolk Blues Division I team. We'll get him in here. We're going to talk Major League Rugby with him. We'll also ask him about his Capital Selects team and, whatever free game. He's willing to talk about whatever we want, Dayle. So in about 15 minutes, Chris will be calling in. We'll take a break in about 10 minutes, regroup real quick, and then we'll plug Chris in, and we'll get going with him. And then we'll do the Down on the Farm segment after that. But Major League Rugby last weekend, I think we saw I can't say it was a complete separation in week 2 of the cream of the crop from some teams just not doing well right out of the gates, we'll say. I mean, there's no other way to really put it. Talking about NOLA, talking about Toronto, 2 teams who had it rough. Dallas had a good – they played well but lost at Utah. NOLA lost 14 points for them, 35 for Houston at Houston. New York dominant over Toronto at home, 39-3. San Diego looks really nice. They beat New England, 29-12. Let's see what else happened. DC was off last week. Also, the Chicago Hounds were off last week. And what am I missing here with these guys? The one game that I didn't touch on, let me see here. So there's 5 games. So not 6. Oh yeah, Atlanta and Seattle. That's the actually that plays this week. So was it Seattle that played? Yes, Seattle and Atlanta. Okay, so that's going to be Atlanta plays NOLA this week. Yes, so Seattle and Atlanta. That's the Friday night game. That's why I kind of forgot about that. Friday seems like forever ago at this point, right? 28-22 winners for Seattle, and they played well. And Rugby Atlanta plays well out there on the West Coast too. And what I thought would be a defensive game actually was an offensive game. I'll say this, Dale. I watched a lot of these games, actually, so I was into it. Utah.
Right.
Talk about you have an athletic back line, right? Talk about the importance of having speedy backs, maybe that one big giant back who can run hard with the ball, can carry the ball. You played some back, too, as a bigger back. Johnny Lawrence, too. I mean, you can consider him kind of a bruiser back there in the backfield. But how about that? Having some speed and having a real big power guy, because that's what Utah has. And when they got the ball out in space, it was bye-bye. They were gone.
Right. So what happens a lot of times, right? So the lead up to that segment you're talking about, so you always want to have a pretty good size inside center who can run relatively quick and short bursts from 15 to 25 meters. You don't need him to overall have, 100 speed, if you get what I'm saying. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it if you got it. But so the idea is to get the forwards, like we always say in Division 2 and 3, play 10-man rugby, wear them down, draw that defense in, and then your scrum half and fly half have to recognize the field. And then if you got these kind of backs that can do some damage, get out in that open field, because you don't think 2 to 3 meters makes a difference in positioning, then you're crazy, because that's where the game gets broken apart. We always had this saying in basketball, because I played that for 35 years religiously, called make it, take it. So in 15s rugby, when you score, you get it back. So now when a close game ends up being a rout, because you keep getting it back and the defense gets out of position because they're either tired, frustrated, or mad. So the problem with a lot of American rugby players, they try to be like international, like run straight up in the air and then offload it. And they don't do that because we don't start rugby until later. So my advice to a brand new player that's got size and got a little speed, run straight, lower your shoulder right into him. You get lower than that man, you drive him back, we maintain possessions. So what that does then is it starts opening up, because your outside center is going to come in and help your inside center. And then you go get this 2-on-1 overload. And then you beat that wing, and then now you got to do is beat the back line, the fullback, and you take it to the house. And that's what I really like about what we have. But this team you're talking about, I've seen that one guy. I don't know what his name is, but he is huge.
Yeah, we're still learning all the names on the show. I mean, there's so much turnover, too. Alex Deagle's the guy we need on all the time, really, in this discussion. We'll get him on. We're actually due to get him on. We'll see if he can't get Mr. Deagle in after 3 weeks of Major League Rugby action, see what he says.
Yeah, real quick, it's hard to remember all these names, man, because it's such a high turnover rate, if you get what I'm saying. So, hey, forgive us if we don't get all the names right, but everybody knows what we're talking about. If you know every name for every player, hey, God bless you, man. I'm all for you. Come on the show.
I'm gonna get my quick. It's gonna be hard to organize just by clicking on websites.
Yes, sir.
But I can put together some sort of player roster that I would get at some high school football game if I had like the program or something like that. And that's basically is something I'll get, and that'll help our cause, Dale, if I print that out. How about this? We talked about Toronto going on the road 6 weeks in a row. Woof. Now, there's no way they went from Atlanta to New York without going to Toronto home for a week, right? They're just in and out of airports every 3 or 4 days is what's happening for the most part, or 5 days, I guess. But Toronto, tough loss at New York. New York rebounds well after their loss to Seattle. So Toronto is looking like one of the more desperate teams. And then NOLA, after losing to New England week 1, I'm not going to fault NOLA too much here, because going on the road to Houston, who they've got 2 wins too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not going to be that bad of a loss for them here in just week 2. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These teams got still the teams I think that are going to keep winning, and I would say you'll give it one more game. And I think you start to see some more continuity, and things will start to level out a little bit. So you got to give them a fair shake. But it's really about right now, early in the season, right? Limit your mistakes.
Right.
Be explosive. And the one thing I did see, actually, I will take note of is some bad tackling. Because there were a lot of points put up by teams, and they were buying tries. I'm like, how did they miss that tackle? In fact, I saw some walking in instances by the try zone. I'm like, should this guy be like running right here instead of like watching from the side? So I've seen a little bit of that. That's frustrating as a coach, right, Dayle?
Yes.
Watching a player walk.
Yeah, very correct. Because what happens a lot of times, okay, like this professional level, you get these coaches that think, well, these players should automatically know how to do this, do that, which I get it. They should. But at the same time, you're responsible. Remember, these are kids still, okay? Young men that still can always learn. You can never learn this game 100%. I don't care who you are, unless you're that New Zealand rugby player that started when he was 4. But everybody knows what I'm saying. So what you have to do is adapt in each game situation. So what happens at higher level rugby, I believe, is a lot of these guys don't work out enough as far as conditioning. They're not going to say, oh, I take the game for granted, but they do. So let's look at this game, Toronto and New York. New York won that 39-3. When I look at a score like that in rugby, other sports like football, you would think, okay, they just got burned on a couple of plays and whatever. But rugby, that looks like they got beat on straight conditioning right there. And Toronto having to travel here, there, and everywhere in the first 6 weeks, that's not a good thing, really, psyche for them. So now, like you said, they're going to try to level out and see if they can regroup. And that might be a long season for them because you go on the road for 6 weeks in a row, traveling like that, and you don't get enough practice prep and workout prep.
What happens is this, because I've been in that situation. You have the confidence, all right, we're going to go out, we're going to win this game, we're practicing good, we're doing well.
Right.
And then the snowball goes against you, and you get down. Next thing you know, you're down 27 points before you start playing well.
Right.
And then, the rest of the game's tied, except for that first 15, 20 minutes or whatever. But it was enough to spiral out of control. There's just so many different ways to lose in rugby.
Oh,
and you can lose the game in the first 10 to 15 minutes if you're sleepwalking.
If you're sleepwalking, yes, sir. What we try to do, I watch these games and I look at them, and sometimes they get too cute, where international teams don't get cute. They stick to basics, fundamentals, and their forwards and higher levels play so good fundamentals. And that's what I preach all the time. And some of these professional teams, they get out of character and they try to do more than they can. And they end up, like you said, next thing you know, it's a 5-0 game. Next thing you know, it's, 28-7, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? So if you're not doing these fundamentals like conditioning, correct positioning and tackling properly, and you're not doing that here and there, you can lose out in the long run. I'm sorry to say it, but that's what's going to happen to your team regardless of what level you're at.
Toronto, they're going to be the benefactors actually of having a bye week this week. So they'll be able to regroup. They won't have to go out back on the road. So that's actually going to help them. Yes, that almost makes that like 2 games in a row on the road and then 4 games in a row on the road and in a separate way. Not that it's the greatest thing. Right. But, man, that's forever until you have a home game if you factor in the bye. But the games this week, if you have the Rugby Network, that's going to be your best way to watch them. No national TV game, Dayle. How about that?
No national TV game.
So Friday night, just one game. Dallas, 8 o'clock. They're going to host 2-0 Seattle. Dallas 0-2 on the season. Rugby Atlanta 1-1 on Saturday at 6 p.m. is the lone game on Saturday. It's only one game on Saturday. Right. 6 p.m. Rugby Atlanta hosts NOLA. NOLA looking for their first win. And then a trio of games on Sunday. We have Chicago hosting Houston. Chicago's first game back after the bye, 0-1. Hosting Utah. Utah is 1-1 with the nice win last week over Dallas. New York is the 3 o'clock game Eastern Standard. They host Old Glory. So 1-1 New York against Old Glory, 1-0. We'll find out more about them. That's actually maybe the game of the day. No, this is going to be the game of the day. 3 o'clock on the Rugby Network. You're going to have multiple game TVs streamed in, Dayle, because Houston and San Diego 2-0 against 2-0 in the Houston. How about that?
Yeah, they got the 2 best scrum halves out there, I believe, because that one guy from Houston, that guy's quick as a cat. No pun intended with saber cats, but that boy can move. Now, I've seen him.
All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do is take our break. On the other side, we will have Mr. Chris Porter on, head coach Porter. We'll get it. Hey, fair game, Dayle. Whatever you want to ask him. I'm going to ask him some Major League Rugby. I'm going to ask him what he thinks of Major League Rugby and how it's developed. I'll ask him some Capital Select stuff as part of that development as well, as they play the Houston Sabercats developmental team. So that's kind of interesting in that regard. See that, get a little bit more about how that works. But we'll get Chris on the line here in a couple of minutes. This is Initiate the Contact. I am Stephen Murray, the Coach Dayle runner in Studio 2. We will be right back after this.
The kind of man that I would be a rugby player. I would be out, she would be out.
Yo, what's up, boys?
How
you doing, man? You good? All right, cool. I'm going to play a couple commercials. I'm going to run and get a water real quick, and then I'll be right back. I'm going to plug you in so you can hear everything going on, and we'll be back in like 2 minutes. Cool?
She put it in, we both put it in together. We'd be all right in the middle of the night, putting it in together.
Does your home have algae or stains on the siding? Is there grime built up on
Do you want a
your
beer or
deck
anything?
or brick
Yes,
patio?
please.
Coastal Pressure Washing Services
I'll
has
sort
a
for you, Jeff.
quantity of professional services.
I'm trying to share your website.
Pressure washing,
Let
from window cleaning to deck and fence staining, as well as dryer vent cleaning. You got it all. Call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net. Again, call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810.
Want me to send you the YouTube link?
Our website.
I'll send you the
at
YouTube
Yeah, I'm
channel.
trying to
Coastal
share it,
Pressure
you know,
Washing.
a couple of pages, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'll say mine.
Tired of your swimming pools and diatomaceous earth, the pool filter, the constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water. I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operation. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517. Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com.
Send them that.
That's deepend757@yahoo.com.
Know your gambling limit. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limit.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. You're behind the wheel. You may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
Family owned and operated, CP Shuckers Cafe and Raw Bar specializes in delicious cuisine, refreshing drinks, and a laid-back atmosphere. We opened our doors in 1995 and have enjoyed being a place.
All right, Porter, you got me loud and clear?
to Celebrate ever since. Whether you are in
All right, cool. All right. Last commercial and we'll come back.
Family or watch the game. We promise that our inventive menu, attentive service, and skilled bartenders will have you truly satisfied. Both of our locations have spacious outdoor patios for enjoying the breeze and catching a little sun. Our friendly staff at CB Shuckers will make your next dining experience a pleasant one by delivering personal care. We are open until 2 a.m. Full menu will be served until 10 p.m. and late night limited menu until 1 a.m. For larger parties, please give the location of choice a call. Pacific Avenue, 757-425-8676, or Shore Drive, 757-412-2929. More information at cbshuckers.com. Thank you for your continued support and have a shucking good time. Tired of
If I were the married kind, which thank the Lord I'm not, sir, the kind of man that I would be a rugby scrum half. I put it in, she put it in, we both put it in together. We'd be all right in the middle of the night, putting it in together. If I were the married
Initiate the Contact is back. I'm Stephen Murray, the Coach Dayle runner with me. And Dayle, we have on the line the head coach of the Norfolk Blues for many, many years, the head coach of the Capital Selects, an all-star rugby player himself, one of Longwood University's most distinguished alumni, the coach himself, Mr. Chris Porter. Porter, what's going on, man? How you doing?
How you doing, Mr. Porter? I'm doing fantastic. Yourself?
Yeah, okay. Let's start with that. Rotator cuff, is that an injury sustained in the game? Is that long-term wear and tear? What's been the road like coming back from that surgery? And that's it. You ready to get back on the field once you get the green light? Right. Did you? Do I have this wrong? Something in my head tells me that I see a flashback of you with like an Achilles injury. Is that right, or do I have that completely wrong, or some kind of leg injury? Yeah. Okay, I think I remember that. You missed the time and you came back like, wow, yeah, I missed the step.
That's great. That's great. That's a great story right there. So, Chris, as you well know, I'm me and Johnny Law running a team over there in Newport News. We we've been getting 30 to 35 guys out. It's since I took over last March, it's been really tough, to get us back to where I want us, and it's a lot of work. And I know you got a lot of work over there with your guys. I'm gonna ask you about a couple of players. One guy works with me, Mike Roach. He plays out in the backfield. Then you got Adam, of course. Is Adam doing really well? Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So how many players are you guys getting out to your practices now? How many you getting out there?
Nice. Right.
Good.
What are the Blues up to for the spring? Do you guys have playoff hopes? What's your exact status right now in Division One? Okay. Right.
Yeah, right. So what? So with us, we went 5-0 in the fall. We, our last spring was a disaster. We only had like 17 coming out. So I do a lot of off-site work. So I'm a big recruiter. Whenever I run the team or I'm president, we always have great numbers. But when I'm not there, other people falter. You know how that works. So what I'm trying to do. So we beat Virginia men. We played them on 11th. And then if we got to play them twice, we got to play them in 2 and 3 week period. So we also got Blackwater. We win those 3 games, we're going to play probably Virginia men again. So we just tied Rappahannock. We'll stop the match with
Listen to the next segment, Porter. You can tune in after that. I told Dayle to keep the
I'm not going to get into
the lid on.
So I was, we don't have enough alcohol to talk about that one, but it's just very frustrating for my guys and everything what me and Johnny Law are trying to do. And but we're getting there, man. So my goal is to eventually get to Division II in the next year or two. And I'm gonna work at it because now that I finally woke up at 60 years old, I had to quit thinking I could play with 20-year-olds. You know how that is, man. That ego will kill you. You know what I'm saying? So what is y'all's strength? Is your backs or your forwards your strength?
Chris, I mean, you said it yourself. You got the family. I mean, you got to throw a bat in practice. You get your daughter's basketball practice. I think you said earlier today, talking to us now. Head coach of the Blues, but also the head coach of the Capital Selects. And I mean, that's a huge deal, right? I mean, that's a whole nother thing that you need to take on your plate. Because as far as like the developmental stuff is going, in association with Major League Rugby, I mean, that is a very important role you're playing. How do you balance this all out?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Two-part question, actually, since you just kind of touched on it. You being around all these different players and probably some different coaches as well, obviously, from different clubs, do you take some of this back to Norfolk with you? Obviously, you probably do, but do you actually implement some stuff that you've learned off-site and bring it back to the Blues? And then how about that? You guys went down to and played the Houston SaberCats developmental squad, and you won that game down there. I think they made it. Got a try late to maybe make it a little bit closer than what it seemed. And I think it was a pretty windy game, if I remember reading that up right. But talk about that, maybe strategy-wise, Capitals stuff back to the Blues, and then how about the game down in Houston?
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah, that was a good point you made. You got to play to the strength of your players because you got a lot of. Now you've seen this play at Old Boys, man. Because when me, John, George started playing Old Boys, we think we were going to get into something like these guys had 50 years of knowledge on us, this, that, and the other. And I learned it's like, man, these guys have played this higher level rugby, but really, they don't really, know any more than what we really do. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, now you got to, when you start coaching, you got to look what your players are because you can know everything about all the laws, you can know everything about rugby, but if you don't know what your players can do, all that stuff goes by the wayside. So you got to play to your strength and what you feel is going to take your team to the next level. And sometimes, I think a lot of us will try to, I love Johnny Law to death. John's a nuke. And sometimes John will overanalyze stuff, but yet he brings so many good things to the table. So then you got to make it in simplistic form to brand new players. You know what I'm saying? So, right. Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. So I got one more thing. This is a little bit off of the. So here's the problem I have with USA Rugby. Okay, so they look at Division One or like back in the day Super League, but they never look at Division Two or Division Three teams who had these great athletes, but they're sort of just like Adam when he came to you, great athlete, but I give him all the credit in the world. He's one of the ones that came over to you and he wanted to learn the game and prosper. I stayed on him every day now, I'm going to tell you. But that cat, he's come a long way. And the problem is this USA Rugby, man, they get too caught up in, well, this guy plays this level of rugby, so he knows more than this guy. That might not be necessary because maybe this guy at the lower level can't afford to play higher level or what have you. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yes. Right. They played at Bluestone High School. Right. Right. You ain't lying. Yes, sir. Yes.
We talked about this a little bit on the show in recent weeks, Chris. And Chris Porter, head coach of the Norfolk Blues and Capital Selects, is joining us if you're just tuning in late. But aren't the Capital Selects and the Rugby South Panthers, for example, aren't they at least doing their part? They are open tryouts to some of these players who want to get known. So this is really their opportunity to at least show a flash of coming out of nowhere. And I can't say that you know more than me, Chris. I mean, how many select programs like the Capital Selects or the South Panthers there are across the nation. You definitely know more about me. We don't hear about it as the average rugby fan. It'd be nice to have some more. Maybe that's the role of this show, Dayle. We need to do some more investigating ourselves, right?
Yes.
Are we at least at our end doing the best that we can to open our door for these players to try to have some success down the road? I mean, Doczilla Irie. I mean, there you go, right there. We talked to him last week on the show. He's found himself a home, being a prop in the NOLA Gold. But we're doing our part. We're trying to, at least, right, Chris? Right. Okay. That should be the exact opposite. I mean, that's everything we just discussed. Honestly,
Crazy.
that's interesting. Yeah, good stuff. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Where was
Yeah.
that-
Yeah.
Where was that at when I was that age?
I'm glad you bring up Cecil's name a couple of times. I know I'm gonna have to get him on as a guest. I think you'd come on the show at some point, for sure. Yep, great guy too. His dad's an amazing guy. So cool.
It's great to have that attitude. So what time y'all play over at Lafayette Park Saturday at 1 against James River, correct? Yeah. Yeah, we played them in the fall. That was our scrimmage, and we lost 8 tries to 5 tries to them. We played them and played 340s against them, and the first 40 they got up 5 on us, and then we played them even the rest of the way and actually beat them. We were in better shape than them, but they got some of them old veterans, man, that know how to play, and they're cagey. You know what I'm saying? They go. One thing about it, they're gonna bring it every time they come on Saturday. They're gonna bring it now.
Uh, so you talked about let me ask you this: the merger with the Richmond team. So I think that the Virginia Beach team, which the listeners I'm a part of, obviously you guys do too, or have been a part of. I think COVID definitely did a number on that team. COVID did a number on rugby in general with that long term off. because once some guys get away from the game, especially a team with transit military like Virginia Beach, when it's time to come back, where are the players at now? They're practicing, they're doing fine. That's fine. But do you think maybe COVID has something to do with that, with the Richmond numbers, Chris? Is Richmond a victim of kind of getting wrecked by that, or do you think that they just at the end of the day said we just can't support two more teams around here? Because back in the day, I think they had 3 in Richmond a long, long time ago, but they've gone from 3 to 2 to 1 now. So what's your opinion on that? Right. Oh, nice. Yeah. That's cool.
That's funny. Hmm.
Yeah, you turn around and there's no one around. Yeah, you're like, where did everyone go? Last question for me. Now I'll throw it to Dale. He'll have one more question for you too, Porter. And we appreciate all your time, man. You spend a lot of time with us, so this is awesome. Let me ask you this. Another 2-part question. Just give me your overall thoughts about Major League Rugby and how they've transited into their 6th year. What do you see from them in the future in terms of maybe growth? And how about this? If one of these teams were to ask you to be their head coach, and the price was right, I mean, would you do it? Right. Yeah, definitely.
Right. You're right.
Yeah, so 0-2 Toronto is not on the books for week 4 after their bye week, huh, Chris? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah.
All right, Dayle, you got one last question for Chris?
Yeah, so that everything you just touched on, I was going to say all that, right? My days, because I got 20 months left till I retire from the shipyard, and my days are like not. I'd love to learn all that ins and outs of professional coaching, but I don't know if I got the patience at my age to deal with all that personalities. If you get what I'm saying, so my goal, and because I followed you, Spice, all the boys over there forever. Johnny Law, me and him been doing this for 30 years. I had to stick with him because he called me out to come play. But, I love, like you said, me and you have battled 100 times. We've played together, old boys. But so I just played in the 60 and over down in Fort Lauderdale. We won that whole thing. So me, George, and John played in that. We won that. We beat Florida old boys. But man, I tell you what, I just healing up now from a week later. It's like you think you're invincible, man, but it's like what I want to teach my young rugby players. I just want to bring out so many players, and I feel like if I could get half the people to do half of what I do. Just half of what I do. I mean, I could have 55, 60 people. I could make 2 or 3 teams, but people just don't understand what is involved with this whole operation, and regardless of what level you're at. You know what I'm saying? So I tip my hats off to you for doing all that over there. I got a different type of culture over in Newport News Rugby. I got some great athletes, but I got some tough guys, if you know what I'm saying. And you know what? I got this new coach, Mark Fisher, as my forwards coach. He's a psychiatrist, man. That was one of the best things that happened to our club because me and Johnny Law are direct, where Mark is more diplomatic. So it sort of evens us out for all these personalities. You know what I'm saying? It's like I can't be like, I used to ride Adam, like I was telling you, Avatar. I used to ride him out, but it's like, maybe they needed a little bit more nurturing.
I've done that before. Have you done that, Chris? I've done that where I'm like, all right, I'm going to be the good cop today, but I need you to be the bad cop. Like, let these guys have it, and I'll bring them back to earth once you break them down. Do you ever do anything like that, Chris?
Yes. Right. Water make you weak. Sure.
All right, James River is at the Norfolk Blues. If you are in Norfolk Saturday at 1:00, is that the kickoff time, Chris? Lafayette Park, and the best thing about that field is it's a nice soft field and it's big. It is a big field too, which is great. You know, the Blues with the speed way back in the day said we have the biggest field of regulation. We'll get our wings around that corner. What's on deck for the Capital Selects? Okay. Wow, that's a full weekend then. So Norfolk's at home Saturday, right? And then you also have the Capital Selects game up north too, right? Okay. Right. Yes.
Yeah, my wife's from Pittsburgh. Yeah, I know exactly where Pittsburgh actually plays a rugby game. So, yeah, cool.
All right, great, Chris, man. Thanks a lot, man. If it's cool, we'll check back with you later in April. Sound good?
Yes,
All right,
sir.
great. All right,
Thank
Chris,
you,
have a
sir.
good one, man. Be safe.
Take care.
All right, man. How about that? That was good stuff.
That was excellent, man.
Man, Wednesday nights have become a lot of fun. We've had a lot of good
Yeah.
information here
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the initiate the contact, Dayle. Okay, let's take a break because the volcano almost erupted during question 2 with Chris Porter here in the interview. We're going to go down on the farm after this. And what happens? What should happen when a referee calls the game 18 minutes before the official end of the game? 18 minutes short on the clock. We will discuss after this.
If I were the marrying kind,
Good segment right there.
What's that?
Good segment.
Yeah. I'll get one more beer.
He's always polite to me.
He's a good dude.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
We'd be all right in the middle of the night, whipping it out together. If I were the marrying kind, which thank the Lord I'm not so, the kind of man that I would be a rugby scrum half. I put it in, she put it in, we both put it in together. We'd be all right in the middle of the night, putting it in together.
Hey, does your home have algae or stains on the siding? Is there grime built up on your deck or brick patio? Coastal Pressure Washing Services has a warranty of professional services. From pressure washing to window cleaning to deck and fence staining, as well as dryer vent
One more
cleaning.
beer?
No, I'm
You
good.
got
Is
it
your knee
all.
bothering you?
Call
Dude, I'm
Coastal
sore.
Pressure Washing at
Fucking
area
working
code
out.
757-439-9810 or visit our
Yeah,
website at
fucking-
coastalpressurewashing.net. Again, call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net.
Swimming pools, diatomaceous earth, pool
I
filter,
had these beers all week.
cleaning.
So you don't drink as much liquor as you used to, huh?
I thought this
I'd
was-
rather drink liquor than beer, but these are literally the only 2 beers I had since the last time we fucking sat here, to be honest. So, I just like having a beer with you.
I hear that.
Dependable solutions at 757.
No, but I was sore as shit yesterday, Dayle.
55.
But and then I got on my back. I would use my bands. I stretched out, and I got up and ran and did kettlebell swings and all that shit. You know,
757.
ran fucking 900 meters
That's deep in
as fast as I could with doing kettlebells and bent over rows too in between 300-meter runs. I tried to do it as fast as I could. I did it all in 13 and a half minutes, just about a little bit less.
I'm trying to let this goddamn tricep heal. It's aggravating.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. You're behind the wheel. You may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the.
We should have rugby wars about the two teams who disagree after the game. Now, I haven't heard anything about Rappahannock or anything.
Family owned and operated, CP Shutters Cafe and Raw Bar specializes in delicious cuisine.
That shit had me weak as fuck right there.
Laid-back atmosphere.
I was so weak after that shit.
How
many days has that happened?
Celebrate ever since. Whether
Yeah,
you're in the mood to indulge in a great meal with your friends and family or watch
See,
the game, we promise
This,
that our
you know what he was just saying about going from Division I to select side, right?
will have you truly satisfied.
I don't,
Our locations.
you know, you don't have to agree with everything,
For enjoying the
you know, but you were saying it's faster, this, that, and the other. I
I
think the biggest difference is your fly half and your scrum half. That's your two biggest differences at that level. Other than that, everything's pretty much even. You know, you're not gonna. So the guy who was talking about the 20-year-old, we shut him down completely last week. Carlos shut him down the whole time. You know, Carlos was fat and out of shape. Carlos was all over his ass.
Yeah.
Couldn't do shit. That dude was ready to fight Carlos.
He's a smart player. Carlos, smart player?
Yes.
Smart carries you a lot, dude. I use
Oh, yeah, man.
I use my brains to completely because I was slow, man. I was always slow, dude. Especially when I got older, but I could always use my brains to get an advantage on these assholes. I could be headhunting. They would never see me coming, man. As big as I am, how do you never see me coming? But I'm tracking you the whole time.
I'm looking for you now.
5517.
This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
If I were the married kind, which thank the Lord I'm not certain, the kind of man that I would be a rugby fullback. I find touch, she find touch, we don't find touch together. We'd be alright in the middle of the night, finding touch together. If I were the married kind, which thank the Lord I'm not certain, the kind of man that I would be a wing three-quarter.
All right, this is Initiate the Contact, Deep End Broadcasting's coverage of Major League Rugby and much, much more. I am Stephen Murray. He is the head coach, Dayle Runner. And now it is time for in fact, I need to make a graphic for this. It's done. How about that? This is the Down on the Farm segment that we like to get to. We'll talk about the lower leagues besides USA Rugby, the Six Nations, which Ireland was the, we haven't talked to any Six Nations, but when we talked a ton last week, but Ireland, Dayle, as the complete front runner in that contest of teams.
Yes, sir.
As we speak now. So the Irish are your favorite. That's all you need to know. If they keep winning, they'll win the Six Nations and probably the Grand Slam at this point, to be honest.
Right.
But this is the Down on the Farm segment where we're going to take it down to Division 2, Division 3, and beyond. High school, whatever. So we have a situation going on. It happened, all right? And this is probably going to be the icer. Because, you know what? We should always look ahead, Dayle, and never in the rear view mirrors, right?
Never look
But
at the rear view.
there are things that do happen in life that are very frustrating. And okay, disclaimer, because some of the viewers are gonna of this show will be referees. Okay,
Sure.
so pardon us for our blasphemous action of criticizing referees, but this is a show. And as we said, if there aren't any issues of controversy, then what fun is it? I mean, we need to have some fun. So any kind of controversy works. But yes, if a game is officially called short on purpose, and which is the case of Dayle, Coach Dayle Runner's Newport News Mariners as they hosted Rappahannock last week. But how long, Dayle, was the game cut short?
It was 18 to 20 minutes.
18 to 20 minutes approximately, because you have some injury time. So you're not exactly sure. So that's 60 minutes of a 80-minute game. That's 3/4 of a game. Cut short because players are too mouthy, Dayle? Is that too mouthy?
Yes, correct. So,
But let me ask you a few questions so we get the facts out there, and then I'm going to let you go and have your spiel.
yes, sir.
were there any yellow cards issued?
There was no yellow cards or red cards, sir.
No yellow cards or red cards issued. At the beginning of the game, I mean, did he say, "Hey guys, I only want to talk to the captain. I don't want to hear your mouth from you. You just talk to me. That's it." Because when a referee would say that to me in the captain's huddle and was pretty authoritative, best be sure I went to my players and said, "Hey man, you shut the F up today, and you shut the F up, blah, 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 blah." So did any of that happen?
No, it didn't happen at all. It's
Okay. Let me see if I have any other questions, and I'll let you know.
right.
Okay, so mouthy players, yeah, and you see soccer on TV. These players in these referees' faces is crazy. No yellow cards. Are there cheap hits in this game?
There was some cheap hits in this game, sir.
By both teams, or unbiasedly, did any of your players cheap shot a little bit?
There was probably a couple of like jumping on the back type things, but no like leaving your feet going low.
No intentional like diving at knees or anything
sir,
like.
No, sir.
What were there anything like that happen to your players diving at knees or anything like that?
There was some coming from the side, which it shouldn't happen with higher level rugby players that have been playing longer. It's inexcusable, and it shouldn't happen at any level.
Okay.
If you've played rugby more than 2 years, you should never leave your feet and come from the side at any situation.
You cannot call a game short. You cannot call a game 22 minutes short, because I'm going to assume not all 30 players were mouthing to the referee. There were actually probably a bunch of players playing good rugby, and maybe there are a handful of very talkative apples that could have been disciplined with a yellow card or something. Would that be accurate to say?
That's right.
So by cutting a game short, you're cheating the players who are playing the game. And these are dudes playing players too. I mean, they're paying for the referee. You're paying his salary, for crying out loud.
That's right.
And you're paying expensive SIP. Some of these players on payment plans.
That's
Right. Because they can't. Every team has that, because you got to feed the family first or whatever. Rugby's just a luxury to us in D2 or D3.
That's right.
Since no one will ever pick us from up top to come play for. Okay, Coach Dayle, go ahead and let it rip. You have plenty to say. I don't think a game should ever be cut short. Sounds like some control was lost there by the referee. You got to be more authoritative, I guess. I didn't see it. I wasn't there. If anyone wants to complain about anything that I say, feel free to comment. Feel free to go to our Twitter at deepin757. You can even call the studio line and retribute anything. Right now, you're on the 2757-937-0777. Whatever, send me an email. I don't care. Dayle, let it rip. What do you got down on the farm? No need for games to be cut short. It gives you a bad taste in your mouth on a rainy Saturday, right?
Right. So I'm gonna make it real quick. Okay. So I've refereed. Okay. When I referee, I tell each captain and the coaches at the beginning of the game, no talking. Okay. I don't care about a little chatter. You're gonna have people say like, "Come on, sir, you should have called it." I get that. I mean, that's this competitive edge. Everybody does that. That's not what I'm talking about. So like, let's say one player gets into another one. I'm gonna tell him be quiet one time. And if he doesn't be quiet, I'm going to throw a yellow card on him right there. And then if he keeps talking, then I'm going to go red card. I got total control of the game right off the bat. So I had a situation last year in a females match where the fly half of this one team wanted to keep chatting, blah, 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 all this. I told her, I said, "How long have you been playing rugby?" She goes, 9 months. I said, "Be quiet. Don't talk until I tell you to." After that, she shut up the whole time. After the game, she goes, "I really didn't like how you talked to me." You know what I told her? I said, "You'll get over it. If not, you'll have issues your whole life." So, with that said and done, I have no problems. Everybody knows Dayle Runner. Dayle Runner knows how to play rugby. Dayle Runner knows the game of rugby. I am not an expert at rugby. I do not tolerate anybody's garbage. I got a tough team. I am trying to instill discipline in my team. It's going to take me some time. But at the same time, when I'm playing an experienced club, and I have things going on that shouldn't be going on, okay, the referee needs to get that under control. He should have that under control in the first minute of the game before it gets out of hand. But you can't wait. You can't talk us to death before the game and not do anything that you talked about. So I'm going to leave that at that. So now we're going to get on to the game. We tied Rappahannock 19-19. It was a good physical game. They got some good athletes. I'm going to give them props. We're up and coming. Eventually, we're going to go to Division II. Eventually, that's my goal. We played an A and a B side game. Okay, no one expected us to tie Rappahannock. My players expected it, but I can guarantee you those guys didn't expect us to do that. I can promise you that they did not expect it at all, and they thought they would come in our house and wax us, and we really won the whole thing. We'd have probably won the game if it had continued the whole way. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to be straight up. But I respect everybody in the rugby union. Everybody knows me. Everybody knows I'm going to give it straight out. My club, I'm going to protect my club to the end. I don't care if you don't like my team or not. I don't care if you like us. I'm going to respect every club out there. When I go to another field, another pitch, it don't matter if I play a Division I team or I play a Division 10 team. If they have a social, we're going to leave all the garbage on the pitch. That 80 minutes we had in that box, we're going to leave it there. We're going to go to the social. We're going to have a good time. We're going to talk about rugby, talk about life situations. We're going to shake hands with the opponents. My team will never not do that. If you do it, then I will discipline you. I am all about discipline. It's tough. I got a lot of things to work on. Don't think I don't. Okay, I know a lot of people sitting there saying, well, when is it going to start? Well, I tell anybody that wants to come and try to run this club, just do it. But at the same time, I've got a lot of great players on my team. I am going to take my team to the next level. We're off this Saturday. I've got Virginia men in 2 weeks. We're going up to UVA to play those guys. We're going to go up there. We're going to go up there for the win. It's not going to be an easy game. We got a lot of respect for them guys. Got a lot of good players up there. You know, Nate, Kyle, and all those guys, Kerry, they're going to bring it to us. But you know what? I got some damn good athletes myself. I got Brandon Jeffries, 10 is his nickname. Probably the strongest player in the VRU. I don't care what level of rugby. I got my man, Jose Rogers, who might be one of the most dynamic open field players in rugby. Even he could play higher levels. Both of them guys can. I got my man, Adam Neal, in the backfield, who can play fly half, inside center, what have you. I have a 50-year-old starter. I know a lot of people laugh about that. But Gerald Fisher, man, give that guy props, man. That guy's still out there getting it. He knows the game. And knowing the game a lot of times is more important than having a great athlete out there that doesn't know the game. So we're teaching these younger players. So we had a B-side game against CNU, okay? We had, out of our 15 starters out there, 12 of them had never played a rugby game in their life. We went out there, and it was a mess on the field. It was straight mud. The guys had a blast. It was the best thing I could have done for them to keep them kids coming out there. So when I go to Virginia this weekend, we're going to try to get another B-side game, play 10s or whatever we have to do, whatever you can do to keep them players coming out, because your B-side is your A-side's future. Anybody that's ever played rugby knows what I'm saying. So with all that said and done, I love this segment of the show Down on the Farm. I want more players to come out for Newport News. My goal is to have a Division II and Division III team eventually. I'm learning every week how to coach. I'm learning my players. I'm learning my other coaches. Me and Johnny Law know each other like the back of our, back or front or whatever, however you say it. Mark Fisher, my forwards coach, he just got here with us, He's more diplomatic. Me and Johnny Law are more direct. But me and John have gotten a little easier since we've gotten older. My players probably won't tell you that, but what I'm going to do is give respect to everybody who comes to that rugby pitch, okay? None of us are perfect. We all got stuff to work on. We learn something new each week in this game. My goal is to win a national title at Division III. And I know a lot of people think they're laughing at me like, whatever, da-da-da. It might not happen this year, okay? It might not ever happen. But my goal is to win the national title eventually. And if you don't have those goals set at any level, then you're wasting your time out there trying to coach these players. And I need help from all my players bringing out extra players. I need my coaches to keep giving 100% and all that. And I want to give out the most credit to my wife, Lisa Marie. She gives me so much leeway with this rugby. Whether I'm going to play old boys, you know, running this team, she helps me out. She loves the sport just as much as me. Okay? So with all that said and done with what happened this last weekend, we're going to throw that to the side. That's done with. Guys got some experience on the field. I want to give a shout out to my buddy AJ who played wing and Dimitri who played wing and Aaron Dozier played outside center, have never played a division side game, who started on the A side. They played great defense. Obviously, man, they got to work on offense. Man, we all got to work on that. But, man, 100% on that. Dimitri weighs 140, and he was rucking guys 240 out of the way. And that's what we teach at practice. So one thing about it in rugby, I'm going to be in shape. Our team is going to be in shape. Secondly, we're going to be in correct position. And third, we are going to tackle. We were going to bring you to the deck. That's what our team's about. I don't want to sound too arrogant, but what I'm trying to say is I'm building confidence for my players. Okay, and I want all the teams in the VRU, Capital Rugby Union, whatever you want to call it, whether it's Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Rappahannock, James River, Blackwater, Roanoke, Virginia Men, Rocktown, and I hope Blacksburg eventually gets their team back, because we need this, guys. We need everybody to work off-site. Head coaches and presidents need to do more work off-site. So they need to coach, not just coach, but they need to recruit. And then if players don't show up, you need to call them. You need to talk to them. You need to keep on them, because it shows love for the game. And if they see you're passionate, then they're going to be passionate, and then they're going to keep coming out. So that's what I got to say about my Division III team. And we're going in 2 weeks to play up at Virginia Men, and hopefully it'll be a successful one.
Do you want to hear the top 3 dirtiest plays I've ever been involved in?
I sure do, Steve.
Okay. I'm the victim of 2 and the instigator of 1. So I'll give my most guilty. This is bad, Dale.
No, it's not.
This is a bad one. Okay. So I played for Blacksburg. You mentioned them, and that sucks that they don't have a team, because the black and blue were always a hard
They were
team.
great, man.
And when I played for them, we were the victim of the wrong side of the clock, Dale. We were winning a game well past 80 minutes. I mean, like 95, 96 minutes, and then when the other team scored, the referee blew the whistle, game over.
Oh,
That was up in Pennsylvania. That was an Eastern Penn territorial type of referee scumbaggery, we'll say. On that. But when I played for Blacksburg, and we had a really good team, we were playing the Virginia Tech Seaside.
Okay.
The Seaside. Yeah.
Seaside.
And it was a Blacksburg B-side. And underneath the pile, I mean, I can't say I haven't had it happen to me, because it has been.
That's right.
But I'm not going to consider this the dirtiest play I'm being a victim of, because it's a bad one. But I did bite the kid's arm when it was right there in front of my face.
Oh, boy.
So the coach, Coach Kevin, which I might have to get him on at some point. He's on my Facebook too. Hopefully out there. If you're listening to us down in Florida, Kevin, we need you on as the guest here eventually. You were always a great coach to me. Drank PBR on the sideline. That back when rugby coaches could do that kind of thing, right?
Right.
Stroll the sidelines with PBR. But he comes off, and he is like screaming in a huddle, Who the hell bit this fucking kid? Blah, 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 blah. And it's a big circle, and everyone's looking around. And I put my arm up, and all my teammates looked at me and just started dying laughing, because they knew it was someone who was a scumbag. And obviously, I fit the mold for that at that moment in time. Now, I was much younger, too. I was 23, 24, 25. Whatever it is. This is just post-college. So this kid, I bet, ain't that much younger than me. I don't think I was some dirty old man. But the other 2 times are this. Both have to do with Roanoke, actually.
Okay.
One time playing for them and one time playing against them. So the one time playing for them.
Okay.
We actually played the Norfolk Blues. It was a B-side game, and I went to the park, Lafayette, to jump in on the Roanoke B-side, figuring, they could use some bodies for the B-side. The away team always does. You can get an easy game. Back in the day, you could drive around and jump in B-side games and be a B-side whore. That was the great thing about rugby. You could always find a game.
That's right.
I jumped in, and what's the guy's name? Tim Trivet. Big old Tim Trivet.
Tim, boy, he's a man now.
So the ball got kicked off. It was a kickoff, and the ball went, I don't know. It dribbled, but it didn't go 10, right? And the referee blew it dead. It rolled. I gently went to go pick it up. The play's well over.
Yeah.
About 10 seconds after I picked the ball up, I'm getting nailed to the ground, tackled. I'm like, what the hell is that? And it was Trivet. And he's just looking and smiling at me. I'm like, oh, you. Now, do I get mad or want to fight? No, I just take that up as, all right, you dirty old bastard. I'm going to have to get you back. So, I mean, I was not a fighter on the pitch. If you just got me, I'd have to get you back in the game somehow, right? That's what you do.
Yeah.
And we actually came back and won that. We're down 31 to like 3 at halftime and came back and won. Something like 42 to 38 in the second half.
Sweet.
So that was, and the party was on. I mean, talk about like, having fun, because I would always go to the Norfolk parties and hang out with Porter or, the guys back in the day. Old man Cecil we were talking about.
Yeah.
Great guy to me back then. Always super nice. So that was that. And then the last time was a very important game. We were at Roanoke, and what do you think of when you think of the Roanoke Pack, Dayle? You think of big old burly mountain men. It's gonna be a hard day, no matter who you are.
They got some big boys.
Yeah. You're gonna be in for it. And just being on the bottom of the pile again several times, I would feel these cleats digging into me, like I was getting stomped relentlessly. Is basically, but I could never see who was doing it because I got 10 bodies, 10 bodies on top of me, right? But my legs were getting repeatedly cleated, which means stomped on, and viciously with aggression, not just let me put them on here. I mean, literal stomps. And I think finally I was like, what the, I'm cussing and screaming, and there they are laughing and stuff. And maybe I'm probably yelling at the referee at some point for that too, I'm sure.
Right.
But at the party, like you mentioned, and you reminded me of the story because what you said about the social. I went to the social, and did I care that these guys had stomped on me? No. And I finally was like, all right, which one of you assholes was it? And that was all of us.
Right.
We were just taking turns. Let's drink beer, arms around each other, singing.
Exactly.
So it's not one guy who's necessarily picking me out. It was the whole herd of them. And what are you going to do, But yes, the bruise on my leg is the biggest I've ever had from that instance. Literally on my inner thigh. I think it was something like, I'm trying to get the camera. I don't know.
I got what you're saying.
But that was it, Dale. Those are my top 3 dirtiest plays of all time in my career.
Okay, I'll give you mine real quick.
Okay.
Okay, so the dirtiest play I ever had done to me, believe it or not, was just this last weekend.
Okay.
I had a guy.
In the Christopher Newport game?
No.
Okay.
In Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we're in a mall, and I'm, standing up, and they're pushing me. Guy reaches over and pulls up my ear, and I was bleeding like a stuffed pig.
The same injured ear from last week we talked about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the worst one ever as far as injury-wise, as far as blood-wise and that stuff. Okay. So the dirtiest play I ever did, okay, I'm not very proud of it, but we were playing Greensboro Rugby, okay, went down there and played them. They were Division II. They just finished I don't know if they finished 4th or 6th in the Nationals, whatever it was the year before. We went down there in 2004. I'll never forget this. And this fly half ran directly into me. I sort of took him lightly. He ran hard into me, drove me back, and I threw him to his back. And, he pushed me in the face, so I sort of kneed him I dropped my knee right down in his chest, and I started talking junk to him, and I got him completely out of his game. I didn't know it at the time. We lost to him by 3. The guy kicked like a 45-meter kick to make it, but the guy was like, man, I've never had nobody get me out of my game like you. And I was like, well, that was my whole point. I mean, I didn't want to do too dirty, and injure you, but I got my pride hurt when you ran through me and I threw you down. So that was one of my dirtiest plays. And then one time I was playing over in Scotland, playing these whores out of Holy Lock. They had a bunch of whores in these games, man. These cats would when you play international play, man, they do stuff that you don't see in American rugby. Like holding onto your shirt, keeping you from getting out, just little stuff.
Right.
Man, I uplifted this cat right up under the Adam's apple, right? And I talked mess to that guy. That guy had been playing rugby 35 years at the time. He was like, I think he was 38 because he'd been playing since he was like 3. I've only been playing like 3 years at a time. And he goes, how long have you been playing? I said, not very long. He goes, that's crazy, man. You seem like you've been playing forever. I said, I appreciate that. But, man, at the end of the game, we went right to the bar, man. We drank Guinness all night. And that was one of the funnest times I ever had at an international rugby match. Man, it was just great, Steve, because that's what it's all about. So getting back to if you lose on the field or you get in a fight with somebody, you know what, man? Leave that on the field. Leave that in the perimeters.
Yeah.
And then after that, go to the bar and socialize. Because if you don't do that, man, then we're just going to leave it.
And some guys can't. We get that. Some guys have to get back.
Get
We
back.
understand.
Yeah, that's different.
But you got to send someone. I mean, even if it's 4 or 5 or 6
don't
guys,
matter, man.
that's what you would do. I always try to make sure I went to the.
I'm at them every time, buddy.
I did too. I don't know. I guess that's about it, Dale. About an hour and a half here, so that's great.
Yeah, man.
Good Wednesday night here on Initiate the Contact. We thank Chris Porter. How about this? Major League Rugby will run down the schedule one more time, and I'll give you a pick. Let's see here. It's best if I just take off the ticker. That way I don't miss anything here. But let's see. All right, so Friday night again, and all these games are on the Rugby Network app, which you can watch for free.
Right.
All right, nothing on network TV this week. 5 games. Friday, we have Dallas and Seattle at Dallas, 8:05 Eastern. Mm-hmm. Saturday at 6 o'clock, Atlanta host NOLA. Sunday, the trio of games in the afternoon, 2 o'clock for Chicago hosting Utah, and 3 o'clock Houston and San Diego in the battle of 2-0 teams.
Yep.
And New York in Old Glory, a good game as well.
That'll be on Masson. So if you're local, you know.
If you're local, Masson, you actually get that.
Yeah.
So that would be the game to watch if you don't have the app and you're here locally and you have access to the satellite or cable or whatever, or the Masson app, I guess.
Yes.
But I'll give a pick, and I liked what I saw out of Utah last week, even though they had a tough loss against the good San Diego team on the road in week 1. They rebounded well. I like that back line. They're explosive. They played good, and Chicago, they're the new team here. They had a week off. They didn't even have a chance to really capitalize on week 2 after their week 1 loss, so they had to wait 2 weeks to get back on the field. I don't know if that's going to help them really in this case. I think once you lose, you want to get right back on the field and get that consistency going. So my pick for the week will be Utah Warriors to beat the Chicago Hounds in Chicago. What about that, Dale? What do you think?
I like it. I'm gonna make my pick. I'm gonna take Rugby Atlanta to beat NOLA Gold.
Okay.
In a close defensive battle.
A low scoring affair. Okay.
I'm looking at a 22-17 type match.
I can see that for sure.
Okay.
And hopefully tackling gets a little bit better this week. And no walking on the pitch, Dale.
No walking on the pitch. If you're
run
to
those rucks.
You're not working hard enough.
All right. So we'll go ahead and get on out of here. Fun Wednesday night again. Thank you, Dale, for making the trip down from Newport News.
Anytime.
Love
it.
Enjoy your week off, and then we'll get back next Wednesday. We'll have another guest. We'll see how these Major League Rugby games go. We'll talk about the next Newport News game, too, on Down on the Farm and all of that. All right, everyone. Have a good night. We appreciate you.
Great one. Yes.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Creative outreach. How's that, Bill? We have a ticker. We have guests. Look like a lot of people are viewing or clicking on and plugging in on. Now this thing lies with the viewers. I learned that for sure. We had a lot of YouTube hits, so keep posting those.
Right.
The kind of man that I would be a referee, sir. I blow hard, she blow hard, we both blow hard
The
together.
referee.
We'd be alright in the middle of the night.
We weren't too hard on the referees.
No,
But we just said you can't call a game
did
short,
I do
man.
it I did it very tactfully.
Yeah, yeah.